The Snyder Cut, we're doing it. I don't even want to refer to this as Justice League because Zack Snyder's Justice League, I think that's the official title. I'm just calling it the Snyder Cut. You know what it is. It's a movie that we all saw almost 4 years ago. Actually, more like three and a half. Yeah, but it's here. HBO Max. You can watch 4 hours of Zack Snyder's original version. Let's talk about it. Movie reviews. But before we get into anything, I gotta fix this aspect ratio here. This is a thing. I honestly didn't know anything about this, and I think it really caught me off guard when the first title card of the movie was like, we are going to put it in a 4:3 aspect ratio because that is Zack Snyder's vision. The problem is, I think with a lot of movies that use this, that obviously aren't old and didn't have a choice but to use it, they use it because they have a reason to. I think like in recent examples, you had The Lighthouse, or I'm thinking of Ending Things, which wanted to make you feel this like claustrophobic feeling. You had The Five Bloods, which used a variety of aspect ratios to signify different moments of the film. I don't know why Zack Snyder needed to do this for this movie. Like, honestly, most of the time I'm like a huge sucker for it, but this time I was just not really interested. Like, I wanted to see a full screen Justice League movie. So that's number one. Number two, the length of this film. I'll get into why I think he wanted it to be 4 hours and some things that benefit from that fact, but I do appreciate the fact that it's split up into multiple chapters. I think there's like six and then technically a seventh that isn't called like chapter 7, but so pretty much 7 parts, I guess. Maybe I'm a horrible person, but I did watch like 2 parts, stopped, took a little break, then watched another 2 parts, took a break, then watched another part. So like, I think it was 4 different sittings I watched this entire movie in, which I think I appreciate the chapters because it did really feel like it was breaking off different parts of the film. Like most films already have like 3 acts, maybe 4 acts, and so you already separate it in your mind, but I kind of like this visual clue, like, okay, this is a good place to stop if you want to, and you can pick up later. And I don't know, maybe it's his vision to have us all sit down and watch the whole thing, so I apologize if I broke your heart, Zach. But I did appreciate the opportunity for a break. But with the length, with this new remastered version, they filmed new scenes, they took back old scenes that we saw in previews before the original Justice League movie came out that never made it into that film, but now they're in this film. There's a lot going on. Did it fix it? I'm gonna say yes. I think a lot of issues that the original Justice League movie had were indeed fixed by this cut. My biggest take, though, is that I don't think it was entirely because of Zack Snyder. Here's what I mean. I think my biggest gripe with the original Justice League is just the lack of character development with so many new superheroes, villains, everything. Like, when you think back to that Justice League, we knew who Batman was, kind of, from that one movie. Superman was a pretty developed character, and Wonder Woman had her own film, too. But then you add Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, plus the villain. That's a lot of new characters to introduce and also have this movie be its individual story. And I'm going to try really hard to avoid comparing it to Marvel, but that's why Marvel was so successful. It's because we knew each individual character, and Justice League didn't really give us that chance. And so with this longer version, I think it does, one, give more time to each individual character, which to me feels like a little bit of a cheat code, because of course if you're going to add more time to the film, there's going to be more character development. Like if we saw a whole season of television, I would hope that a character would be fully developed from episode 1 to the last episode. So I think it's a lot more difficult to do that in film, and so I'm really impressed when a director can give you a full character arc within an hour and a half. Now when you extend it to 4 hours, that's a little less impressive to me. But nevertheless, he did do it. So the characters were fleshed out more. Flash actually felt like someone I liked. Cyborg actually had an emotional arc, which he really needed one because his story is horrific. And with Aquaman and Wonder Woman, it's a little interesting, and I'm going to say a little different. And this is where I don't think all the credit can go to Zack Snyder. Because I think subconsciously why Aquaman feels more developed to me is because, well, I already saw his movie. The first time I watched Justice League, I didn't, so this was my introduction to him, and I didn't really care for him that much. I saw his movie, liked him better, so now I'm watching Justice League again. I know who he is, but the timeline doesn't add up. So it's almost not fair that we've had 3 years to process him as a character, and now we're seeing him being like, yeah, we get it. And the same thing happens to Wonder Woman, where now we have a second movie of her, so she's clearly much more developed. So I think I'd be very curious to hear someone's take who maybe is seeing this for the first time. Like, do they feel like Aquaman is a developed character, or do I just think he's developed because now I have history and a couple of years with him? Even if I didn't see his movie, or Wonder Woman's less than great sequel, I would have already seen Justice League, so I already know the beats they're gonna hit. I know their character motivation. I've already seen this movie before, so it's more like a rewatch this time. So it's so hard to compare if this is actually a better developed film. So now the parts I didn't really care for. Well, the CGI honestly wasn't great, and a lot of the action scenes, and just, I think, creative elements to the action scenes specifically were just a little tacky to me. I think there was way too much slow motion, and trying to make these quick, shaky camera movements, but also these realistic choreography, and I kind of wish that this film would have just picked one single theme to have with the action. It just kind of felt all over the place, but I do think, like, the last hour, hour and a half, it was very fun to watch. There's a lot of great stuff in this movie. There really is. I enjoy the story. I really do. I think if it wasn't for the lack of character development, I would have loved to see these characters team up. I think the way that Superman is brought back into this movie, spoiler alert, I guess, for Batman v Superman, it works really well. And I think his entrance in this movie is fantastic. He is really the key component. And of course, every single time you have a Superman movie, it's going to feel like a cheat code because, well, you just bring Superman in and that's the answer. But they do a pretty good job at it. And of course there's other stuff that's messy, like a lot of MacGuffins, a lot of just faceless villains that there isn't really any stakes for our heroes fighting them, which to me was also an issue with the original Justice League movie. So maybe I'm contradicting myself, because there was that whole scene with the family and the end fight scene, and they were trying to like stop the bad guys from hurting this family. It was a very Joss Whedon moment that he had a lot of in Avengers, and so I was glad that it wasn't in here, but at the same time, I kind of don't like when we're just fighting an army of, like, nothing. Besides that, I forgot how stacked this cast was. I really did. When we're talking in Alfred and Lieutenant Gordon, like, there's a lot of, like, really famous people in this movie. And when you look at the cast lists, it's just crazy to see them all. Jared Leto makes an appearance as Joker, and I don't know, it's fine. It's better than he was in Suicide Squad, I guess. But that's another interesting thing about this cut, is because it's his original vision included a lot more spin-offs from this movie, and I don't know if they're actually going to happen. Like, you have the Martian Manhunter just making a pretty significant appearance and implication for what his future is going to be with the Justice League. But is that going anywhere? I don't know. I don't really think so. So it's just a weird time we're living in, and I think the concept of the Snyder Cut and the fact that this actually happened after years and years of people crying about it on the internet, I'm just in awe. What does this mean for the future of cinema? I don't know. Are we going to get director cuts and just redone versions of older movies? It's possible. I think in this case it worked, and I'm really glad it happened. So the Snyder Cut, I'm going to give it a 3.5 stars if you follow me on Letterboxd, and you should. So that is Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Have you seen it? Did you carve 4 hours out of your day to watch it? Let me know. Comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you next time.